Hello, my name is Gordon Benzie. I came to PTC via ServiceMax. I've been in the industrial software space for the past 20 years. My role at PTC is to work closely with the analyst community. Today, we're going to take a closer look at CIMdata's recently published report on the importance of connecting service to engineering. Specifically, I'm going to take a look at 3 key points that the analyst makes in this report and what that means. So let's talk about the first point that we can learn from the paper. The value of data has grown. So there's several reasons why. I don't think anyone would suggest that the value of data has declined, but it's really quite significant how much it has grown in the last few years. And one is evidenced by all the data theft that has been occurring. The second is AI, artificial intelligence. The greater that this technology is used, the more data it needs to feed on to apply the machine learning technologies to. And so what that's meant from a product design perspective is there's a greater need for more data, and there's a greater need for consuming better data. And this is how the future of new products will continue to evolve, and the different R&D that will be spent on it is all based on that. The other piece is there's a lot of new business models that manufacturers are considering, and part of that means having that insight as to how products are actually used and the data and intelligence that comes from that. So added all together, the value of data has increased. Second point is there's a greater focus on reducing unplanned downtime. Of course, there's always been a focus on this. This is nothing new. But today, it costs more. Everything costs more today. I don't think you need to read a report to understand that, but it's really connecting the dots of why it costs more to understand why there's greater investment in gaining access to this visibility from service intelligence. Businesses are aggressively looking for ways to cut costs and to avoid any revenue disruptions, and that's put greater pressure to improve asset availability. This trend has driven significant demand for greater intelligence. And this is not only being invested in connectivity, but in new technologies. It helps explain why there's been so much invested in IoT, 5G, and other digital technologies. Lastly, if there's any way to defer capital expenditures and reduce operating expense costs, then that's something that's gaining popularity. And this too is another driving factor. Our third factor that's contributing to this market shift is product complexity continues to accelerate. Everything's more complicated today. As one side note, try spending some time with someone in their 80s and how to use their phone or how to program in something, a calendar invite. They don't get it. They just don't get it. And this is something we take as simple. And I know it's a simple example, but it applies to everything. And with this greater complexity, we need more data to support and automate these processes behind the scene. This complexity is also driving demand for increasingly smarter products. So as anything where the processing and the logic can be done behind the scenes, that's better. To deliver that sort of product, you need greater intelligence, as in product intelligence data. So couple this trend with greater reliance on the integrated software programming and longer expected timeframes, and it's easy to see why more pressure is now on engineers to deliver new features and functions seamlessly and continuously. So in closing, it should be clear that our world continues to change. And with this change comes a need to frequently assess what new opportunities and strategies exist to help ease this transition. One way that appears to be poised for greater awareness is the need to start investing more in gaining access to and understanding the service intelligence as part of the design process. and how now that is increasingly becoming a continuous process.
If you want to dive deeper into this topic, click the link in the description below. Here on the service side of PTC, we're excited to bring you content for service leaders pursuing digital transformation, expert analysis on the service industry, and news with a sharp focus on emerging technologies, best practices, and analyst insights. Catch you next time.